go, y'all. Let's finish the medical examiner. Where we starting at, because we finished chapter 14, so we're at chapter, I mean, we finished chapter 12, so we at chapter 13. Alright, let's get right into it. The closer they came to Joanne's home on El Camino del Mar, the more anxious Joanne became. She tried to call her husband. She tried to call her husband again as Malari had done when Joanne had first woken up in the morgue, but the call went unanswered. Malari, Joanne said to Conklin, if what if what if we find him shot and lying dead on the floor? What if my kidnapping was part of a larger plot? Everything's going to be okay, Joanne. We'll investigate every piece of evidence we find. If a clue surfaces in your memory, you know where to reach me. The brass house numbers were embedded in the gateposts that flanked their driveway, leading leading to a handsome Mediterranean style stucco stucco house with a tiled roof. The gate was open, revealing manicured gardens inside the walls. Conklin pulled his car up the long driveway and parked it between a blue Mercedes and a silver Bentley. Which one is Robert's car? He asked Joanne. The Mercedes. The Bentley is mine. Conklin went around to the passenger side and helped Joanne out of the car. He retrieved her handbag from the footwell and and held it open for her while while she while she searched into it for her keys. When she found them, she handed the set to him. They reached the front door and Conklin unlocked it. He pushed the door open and said, "Stay here. I'll go in first to make sure everything is safe." Conklin took 3 steps into the room, entering the foyer. I want to say I said that right. Into the Entering the foyer. Lights were on inside the house, but the security alarms weren't set. That's that's already going. It's already being weird. He called out, "Mr. Murphy, this is the SFPD." There was no answer. Conklin drew his gun and held it out, but he kept the muzzle pointing down. He walked through. He walked through the foyer, which emptied into a spacious living area, um, decorated with modern furnishing. The windows along the far wall looked out over lawns with topiary and a small pathway of stone steps. A large swimming pool was across the lawn and off to the right. He called Mr. Murphy's name again. A he called Mr. Murphy's name again as he rounded a corner. He heard music. He heard music coming from outside the sliding glass doors, where sat a teak 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 outdoor furniture faced the ocean. A man stood up and turned to Conklin, holding a shelf of paper in his hand. He was big, not just tall, but well built and handsome. He was wearing what looked to be a cashmere half-zip sweater and expensive jeans. He showed no he showed no sign of injury. Conklin said, "Mr. Murphy?" The man said, "Who the hell are you, and how did you get in my house?" "I'm Inspector Conklin, SFPD. I've brought your wife home from the hospital." Give me a second, y'all. Take out the headphones. I just took out the headphones. Oh, I didn't know. Why was Joanne in the hospital? She was shot, Mr. Murphy. Let me go get her. I'll tell her that you're back here. Conklin went Conklin went back out to the front door and told Joanne Murphy that her husband seemed fine. She smiled and then started to weep. Conklin holstered his gun and accompanied the frail woman, who was still wearing blue scrubs, paper slides, and an SFPD windbreaker. When he saw Joanne, her husband opened his arms and folded her in. He patted her back as she sobbed against his chest. "I almost died, Robert. I almost died." Conklin thought that Murphy's actions were warm, but his expression and his effect seemed to be a little distant. Conklin watched and listened as Joanne gave Robert a shorthand version of the story as she knew it. But why didn't Joanne's husband seem shocked by the news? Joanne told Robert that she had woken up in the morgue. Apparently, she had been shot in the shoulder and had a woman on and had a wound on her hip as well. But she had no memory of being attacked. That Thank goodness she had no broken bones. She just needed some TLC and rest. There was no mention of the deceased John Doe. Robert asked her where this had happened, and she said, at the Warwick. Robert, I was found in a hotel room, bloody and unconscious. The police thought I was dead. My jewelry was gone. That lovely pendant of my mother's. And oh my God, my rings were taken too. Why were you at the Warwick? I have no idea how I got there, Robbie. I think that was a drugged and kidnapped. I think I'm sorry. I think I I think that I was drugged and kidnapped. Drugged and kidnapped. Oh God. Oh, he's no, sorry. Drugged and kidnapped. My God, Joanne, by whom? That's my theory. But this kind this kind man, Inspector Conklin, is going to figure out what happened and who is responsible. God, I hope so, Robert said as he hugged her close no more time. I mean, Robert said as he hugged her close one more time. We're going to take care of you, dear. From inside his embrace, Joanne looked up at her husband and smiled. I'm going to change into my own comfortable clothes, Robert. I could use a drink. Tell Marjorie I'm very hungry. I have no idea when I last had a meal. I think I'd like chicken stew. That will fix me right up. Inspector, you are welcome to stay for dinner. I'll be back. I'll be right back. When Joanne had left the room, Conklin turned to Robert Murphy and said, you mind answering a few questions for me? Chapter 14. Murphy nodded his head and directed Conklin to a squared to, to be colored what chair to be colored chair. As Conklin sat down, Murphy took a seat and an an identical chair that was situated at a right angle from him. Murphy did finger riffs on his knees, looking impatient and resigned. Conklin said, These are routine questions, Mr. Murphy. Your wife was shot and left for dead, so I'm going to need details of your movements over the last 48 hours. Murphy said, Right, I know this one. You think the husband did it? Conklin said, Not necessarily. Think of this as the way we clear the husband, Mr. Murphy. Murphy signed, right, right, racked back his hair with his fingers and said, I didn't leave the property all weekend and I haven't left it today either. Marjorie Bright, our housekeeper and cook, can vouch for me. Our pool boy, Peter, Carter saw me Sunday morning when I went for a swim. Gotta stay fit now. Peter, Peter lives in a cottage in the back. He has the weekends off, but he was there on Sunday. Conklin said, "You seriously haven't left the house in 2 whole days." Honestly, it's been longer than that. I have a part in a movie. It's a thriller called Case Management. Craig Noble is directing, and I play Evan Slaughter, the lead detective. I've been reading and rehearsing my lines for these past couple days. Marjorie even helped me run through them. She usually does. Anyway, we start shooting next week. Conklin asks, "Were you contacted by anyone demanding ransom for Joanne's return?" What? No, of course not. I would have called the police if that had happened, Conklin said. Can you think of any reason why someone might want to hurt Joanne? I doubt it, but she does have a strong personality. She always says what she thinks. She's a lot of comedies and charity broad, yeah, and charity boards. Sorry, everywhere, everywhere at charity boards. Everywhere money and politics are involved, people can get pretty pissed off. Thankfully, Joanne keeps me out of her business. Conklin nodded, wondering, does this actor really think that murders spring from charity board decisions? Both Joanne and Robert had B movie theories to real life murder. It was just another clue that they might be hiding something. Rich said, "Mr. Murphy, when your wife didn't come home Sunday night, weren't you worried about her?" As I said, Joanne does what Joanne wants to do. We don't question each other, Inspector. They already being weird. I don't know. They being weird. And if your next question is, do you love your wife? The answer is, I like her independence, her her humor, and her intelligence. And yes, I do love her as well. They being weird. I don't know. I can't really say if the husband got something to do with it, but he ain't. He wasn't really too happy to see her. And then he all of a sudden wanted to get shocked that she was shot and all this crap. But when the inspector told him, he wasn't very shocked. Yeah, he hugged her, gave her affection, but it's not what we. It's not given. So I don't know. I have to ask you, do you think your wife could be having an affair? Murphy gave Conklin a, scath- a scathing look and said, if she is having an affair, it would shock the hell out of me. We have a full and trusting relationship. Thank you for bringing her home safely. I like daily reports on your progress in finding the kidnapper. Joanne Murphy returned to the room in flowing garments, looking like an entirely different woman. She was relaxed, beaming, confident. "Richard," she said, "you'll have dinner with us, right?" "I wish I could, Joanne. Maybe another time. But before I leave, I need a few moments with Marjorie." Chapter 15. Joanne brought Conklin to the kitchen where he met with Marjorie Bright, a weary blue-eyed woman who was about 60 years old. She was dressed casually in dark pants and untucked white shirt. She dried her hands on a dish towel and checked on the contents of the oven. After Joanne had left the room, she and Conklin sat down at the kitchen table. Conklin asked some preliminary questions. Preliminary questions. How long had she worked for the Murphys? What did she think of them? How had she ever witnessed any arguments between the two of them? Miss Bright told Conklin that she had worked for Miss Joanne for 13 years. She lived in a private suite on the third floor. She seemed happy with her job in the Murphys' home. When Conklin asked if the couple fought, she shrugged and said, "I guess there's been some shouting over the last 5 years, but there's never been any violence. They have separate suites connected by a hallway on the second floor. Their lives are separate mostly, but sometimes they'll entertain at home, vacation, and attend functions together. They live well in this house, and I do think they are in love." "I don't think two people in love gonna have separate rooms and be separated most of the relationship. It's normal to have arguments. That's fine. That's a real relationship if you got arguments. But actually being separate, having two separate suites, like, and just, and then y'all married. So tell me, why you letting Miss Murphy or Mrs. Murphy do whatever she wants to do if y'all married? Don't y'all supposed to be doing everything together? Don't y'all supposed to be telling each other y'all business? What y'all got going on? What y'all got planned for whatever day? If anything interesting had happened in your life, whatever the case may be. Okay, it's fine and dandy. Y'all attend events. Y'all go on vacation together. Let's see, y'all entertain at home, but y'all got separate rooms. Y'all been separate, like what? Like sleeping separate. A married couple sleeping separate. I don't get it. I'm not understanding. But okay, let's go to the next page. Conklin asks, "Do you?" Hold on, sorry, y'all. Conklin asks, do you recall if Mr. Murphy was home on Sunday? Yes, he was here. I'm off on Sundays, but my rooms overlook the front of the property and his car never moved. I saw him enjoying eating breakfast together on the patio on Sunday morning. Later that afternoon, Mr. Murphy called up and asked if I could help him rehearse his lines. He's very talented, you know. Could you estimate the time that Mrs. Murphy left the house on Sunday? No, like I said, it was my off day, so I wasn't looking at the clock. Besides, she doesn't like to drive. She usually uses a car service, so I couldn't guess a time for you since her car never left the driveway. The housekeeper got the name and number of the service, and after Conklin thanked her, he he returned to the crawling drawing room and told the Murphys he'll be in touch soon as his team had any kind of big break or lead in the case. Once he got in the car, he called Cindy and talked to her as he drove home. He flicked off when Richard, they flicked off when Richard was on Kirkham with his apartment building in sight, and that's when his phone rang with another call. It was Sackwitz. We've got an ID on our John Doe. Sack said his his name's Samuel J. Alton, and he's from Saint Bernard Bernardino. Bernardino. He's the senior VP in claims for Aventra Insurance. He's married, has 3 kids under 12, and is a regular at the Warwick Hotel. On first Sunday of every month, he comes to town for a Monday morning meeting at Aventra's main office on Bailey Street. Interesting, said Conklin. What are you thinking? Was Alton Joanne's boyfriend an attacker, a random hookup? I'm going with boyfriend. We were able to get a look into the Warwick computer system, and it turns out that Joanne Murphy has a monthly reservation at the Warwick, and it's always on a Sunday night, the first Sunday in the month. In fact, Conklin said, I've got to agree with you then. Sounds like these two were having an ongoing affair. Yet, Joanne's husband tells me there's no chance in hell that his wife is stepping out on him. We have a full and trusting relationship, he told me, and that's a direct quote. Gee, said Zach, could the husband be telling a lie? Could the husband be telling you a lie? Conklin laughed. Zach said, I'm going to drive to St. Berta, Berdu. I'll notify Mrs. Alton that her husband was shot to death in the arms of another woman. Then I'm gonna go home and get drunk because that's going to be one hell of a conversation. You want to mention Samuel Alton's name to Joanne Murphy? See what happens? Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. The woman tells a fantastic story. Can't wait to hear what she comes up with this time. Chapter 16. Oh y'all, hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on, well y'all gonna come with me, but I'm gonna be back to read this real quick. I gotta run home. Put my color papers that I picked up. I'm trying to make a video on my 2 color papers that I got. But they going with you. Baby rocket, moving through the sky. Little lights of get ready to explore. Let's run home real quick. Back. I folded my page where I was at. I need to do something real quick. Y'all gonna come with me? When I come back, we're gonna finish the reading. I need to run home real quick. With me. Because I don't think they have a bathroom for real. At least if they do, I don't know where it is, and I don't feel like asking them. Plus, I left my liners at home, so I gotta run home and get them. So yeah, y'all. I do decide to get off and go on the, when I do decide to get off live and stuff, and officially go live. But right now, I just gotta run home quick, do something. You can stay on live. I'm not gonna end it. Sorry for all the wind. But yeah, I'm glad I live across the street, you know. Hopefully nobody, by the time I come back, hopefully nobody will take me. I'm gonna need to put my phone on the charger soon. Well, I'm gonna hurry up. I'm just hoping nobody take my spot. It's gonna get dark real quick, y'all. Come on, Keith. Alright, y'all. Sorry. Get y'all real quick. Let's sit y'all right there real quick. And I need to run to the bathroom. Alright, y'all. My bad, y'all. You want to run back over there? Let's go. Yeah. Hey, y'all, we on chapter 16 now. So yeah, I made sure I folded the page, even though I remember. Hello. See, I'm in a rush. I'm gonna fucking speak to somebody. I ain't wrong. You see, I'm in a rush. So I don't know why to take my spot, y'all. Because every time I fucking leave and come back, shit always fucking happens. Somehow. I've been needing that spot because it's a good spot for me to charge my phone up there and shit. They still doing fucking construction work over here. That fucking leaf scared the shit out of me. I thought it was a bee or something. My bad, y'all. I didn't know if he's so cute, y'all. It's so adorable. Okay. Came back to my spot. Anyway, it's 11:11. I may end up. Nah, I'm gonna just do what I did last time. They got 2 more different coloring papers. So yeah, I'm gonna do a video on them. Chapter 16. Cindy was at Lindsay and Joe's apartment Tuesday morning, drying Martha after their walk had gotten drink. What? Had gotten drowned out by an unexpected drenching rain. Martha shook herself off, causing Cindy to shriek. To shriek. No, no, Martha. Excited, uh, excited by her, excited by her mother's, by her friend's response. Put her paws, put her paws on Cindy's shoulders and licked her face. Cindy couldn't help laughing. Martha was showing good. Martha was showing good progress her injury, but Martha was showing good progress with her injury if she was already this mobile. Oh, y'all, I gotta catch her breath. I was walking fast and she got see me. Slow y'all right now. I had to catch my breath, y'all. But did y'all see the cute little blue-eyed baby? He is so freaking cute, y'all. good progress with her injury if she was already if she was already this mobile. That made Cindy pretty proud to have helped out her friend in need. What now, Miss Martha? She lovingly asked the dog, "Are both of us to have to get into a hot shower? Hmm, you know I have to wear these clothes to work." Martha woofed. Cynthia laughed again and said, "Copy that, big girl. Breakfast is coming right up." Cindy was dumping dog food into a bowl when, of course, the phone rang. It was just like it was just like the other morning, only this time it was really it was on this time. Hold up. He's such a good dad. I think that's the mother. The baby looked more like the father. Now that I see the mother, but I didn't really look at the father like face. But from right here, he looks like the father. Because the mother has darker eyes. Y'all, so, well, y'all missed it because my fucking connection wanna be fucking stupid. Oh wow, this is some trippy shit. I'm trying to set y'all up without fucking up the live. I gotta pull my book out. Okay. See me, y'all good. Y'all good. was Lindsay. Are you checking up on me? Cindy teased. Of course not. Well, maybe I am, but just a little. Put Martha on the phone. Y'all heard him. He was so cute. He sounded so cute, y'all. He started making noise. Just making little noise. He was so cute. He was trying to talk. He was so freaking sure thing. Here you go. Cindy put Cindy put the receiver. Okay, Cindy put the receiver near Martha's face as the near Martha's face as the dog gobbled down her beef stew with supplements. She could she could hear Lindsay talking to her dog, who stopped eating long enough to lick the phone. Cindy cracked up. I'm totally grossed out, she said to Lindsay. By the way, it's not just raining here. It's a it's a certified downpour. Your dog is wet. The phone is wet. I'm wet, and and I'm about to rifle through your clothes so I don't have to go to work in an outfit that's completely soaked. They leaving. He was so freaking cute. At least I got a good look at him. His eyes were so freaking cute, y'all. That little blonde baby had the most beautiful crystal blue eyes I ever seen. Like, oh my god. Like, I wanna take care of him. Y'all make another baby. Give me him. Give me him. I wanna adopt him. I wanna adopt him and y'all make another baby. Cause what? He's freaking cute too, y'all. Alright, let me stop. Having baby fever. Every time I see a fucking baby. Okay. I hope they didn't leave because I was looking over too much. No, baby. I don't want your husband. No, baby. No, I don't. I was not looking at him, baby. Y'all know white women crazy. No, baby. I got my own man. I want to adopt your baby. That's why I was looking over there. And I'm so serious. Like, I want to adopt their baby. Like, I ain't no baby snatcher. So, like, I want to adopt their baby. Of course, they're not going to approve of it. They like, that's probably their own child. Or the other kids might be at school or somewhere. Or us, because it is Friday, y'all. Happy Friday. But anyway, y'all, let's go. Okay, Lindsay told her, go ahead, be my guest and take a selfie so I can see how my size 10 clothing fits your itty bitty size 4 body. Great idea. Let's how's the vacation going? Lindsay Lindsay's voice as as light as fluffy clouds in a blue sky. she she told Cindy about their lovely room, the pleasure of waking up with Joe and not having no and not having one damn thing to do. I'm eating actual meals at real tables. Cindy laughed. That's amazing. Take a selfie of that. Cindy um, Cindy laughed. That's amazing. Take a selfie of that. Lindsay asked if she was missing anything back home, and Cindy had the joy and Cindy had the Joanne Murphy story wrapped up and ready to roll, but at the last second she held it back. Lindsay was Lindsay was with her hubby and their baby was with Lindsay's sister. For the first time in a while, her friends was enjoying a nice hotel and room service. Lindsay deserved a clean break while she was on vacation. As far as I can tell, life goes on without you, Lindsay laughed. Then she promptly told her to shut up and informed her friend that she was going back to bed. They exchanged love yous and hung up. And then Cindy picked up where she left off with her chores. Notifications. See, follow on TikTok. Okay. It was funny how even though she had my bad, y'all. I'm trying to put it to where the vibration up, but it was funny how even though she had known Martha forever, she felt her feelings toward the fluffy dog had deepened while taking care of her. This doggy, this doggy was changing from just a typical cute dog to a close friend. Cindy had been fighting Richie on the subject of having kids for a couple of years now. She wasn't ready for them, yet he'd been ready since before he even met Cindy. At one point, the two of them had actually broken up over this very issue. Thank God they had been able to get past their differences and get back together. Even though Cindy hadn't changed her position, still being responsible for this old dog made Cindy think she might have some tiny material instinct inside her after all. She threw the wet towels into the wash, left her shoes in the bathtub, and found a pair of Lindsay sneakers in her closet. They were big, but they almost fit her. Then she dried her hair, and when her blonde curls had sprung back into shape, she located a trench coat sorry. She located a trench coat with a belt in the back. Yeah, I'm scarred. She located a trench coat with a belt in the back of Lindsay's closet. She tried it on and decided it would work well. It would work well enough before she left the apartment. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my damn scarves. Fucking up. Okay. Before she left the apartment, she called the girls and put them on a conference call. Lunch, anyone? Okay, lunch, anyone? Claire and Yuki were both in chapter 17. Claire stripped Claire stripped off her gown, mask, and gloves. She told her crew that she was going out for a quick lunch and that she would be back in an hour. Mac Bynes, the bar and grill down the street from the hall, was named for a hor- hor- heroic was named for a heroic captain of the SFPD who was now deceased. His daughter Cindy, I mean, sorry, his daughter Sydney owned the local watering hole. Yeah, watering hole. It specialized in a $5 burger and fries lunch and was genuinely packed for 12 noon to midnight with Hall of Justice workers. Claire, Lindsay, and Yuki were called carrying were card carrying customers. Cindy didn't work at the hall but had her own car. It said press on it, and Sydney McBain, sorry, Sydney McBain was happy to have her business. At a quarter past noon, the line of customers was trailing out the door. Of course, Claire joined it and was greeted most moments later by Yuki. The two friends grabbed each other into a big hug. Yuki had just returned to the DA's office after a year of doing pro bono defense work and was charged up to be getting to be putting bad guys away. She had just lost a case of national and global pro proportions and was eager to put it behind her by diving into the next one. And Claire had no doubt that her friend would do a fundamental job on it. Yuki said, "Tell me all about this woman who apparently came back from the dead in your morgue." "I can only tell you because she's alive," said Claire, "and because Sydney isn't here." Yuki drew an X over the breast pocket of her suit jacket with a finger, swearing to keep the secret. So Claire told him. The subject, who shall remain nameless, was found naked under the naked body of a man who was not her husband. He'd taken a few plugs to he'd taken a few plugs to the back and one to the arm, and she had been shot a couple times too. She appeared to be dead, but in fact was cataleptic. Is that like catatonic? Claire laughed. Not at all. Just then there was a tap on Claire's shoulder. She turned and was standing face to face with Cindy Thomas, the crime reporter. Her her springy blonde hair bounced and shook as she said, "Don't give me that off the record crap. I swear not to run anything until you say it's okay, okay?" Yuki said, "I feel like I've heard this pitch before." The three friends threw their heads back as they laughed. Then the line moved forward and a table opened up inside. When they were settled at their table and had ordered their burgers and sprinkling water, and sparkling water, Claire, back to normal. What's this thing on? And had ordered their burgers and sparkling water. Claire told her friends the rest of the information that she knew about the case. The unnamed, fo- the unnamed female's outfit was collected from the hotel room and is with Martine, currently undergoing testing. Is a two-piece Givenchy suit, a black button-down shirt, um, a black button-down shirt, evening slacks, and high heel sandals. Also, she had very expensive undergarments, the kind that I can only afford in my dreams. Cindy said to Claire, "You've been holding out on me." Then she turned to Yuki and said, "So here's the rest of it." As I was able to figure out, she cracked a sly grin. This naked man who was found lying on top of the unnamed woman. Let's call her Will. Let's call her Joanne. Claire shook her head and signed. The food arrived at the table, and after the ladies took a few bites, Cindy went on. The naked man was shot dead, and Joanne was also hit by a couple of slugs. She appearing to be dead, stone cold dead, but she was not. And based on the very expensive undergarments and the nakedness, it seems like she went to the hotel with recreation in mind. With recreation, with recreation in mind, Yuki said. So, are there any other? Are there any other theories besides the obvious? Do we know for certain that she was having an affair with the John Doe? Cindy said, when I met her, she was just regaining consciousness. She told us that she had completely lost her memory, and it could be true. Claire told her friends she was she was out of it for 6 hours at least. The refrigeration saved her life, but that's not to say she didn't lose a few memories. She needs a neurology, neutral. She need a neurology. She needs a neurological workup, and I hope she gets one. Or she could be lying, said Yiko. Yuki. Sorry, thinking about the other book when I see Yiko. She said she knew. She said she knew her name, but not what happened to her in that hotel room. That's pretty convenient, if you ask me. Cindy put her Cindy put down her burger and pointed a French fry at her friend before she dipped it into a puddle of ketchup. If you met her and talked with her, you'd believe her. Yiko. I mean, she gotta change her name. If you met her and talked to her, and you'd believe her. Yuki. I'm a human lie detector, Yuki said sweetly. I'll bet if I met her, I still wouldn't believe her. I'm pretty sure she's a very charming and skillful liar. Claire sighed, looked down at her watch, and said, time. I have time for a quick coffee if you do. When she glanced back up at Cindy's face, she could tell that her friend had disappeared down a road of deep thought. No doubt she was working on a storyline hit. No doubt she was working on a story headline. Dead woman walking. Damn. Chapter, chapter 18. Rich Coughlin was at his desk in the square room. He was doing a background check on the deceased since he now had his name. Samuel J. Alton had a negligible record. 20 years before, when he was 17, he had been busted for selling pot at a beach party in LA. He pleaded guilty this to the misdemeanor, got six got 6 months probation and paid a fine. It seemed he learned his lesson though, because after that he hadn't gotten so much as a parking ticket. But Sam Alton wasn't wasn't actually a model wasn't actually a model citizen, because once a month he came to town, stayed at the Warwick, and apparently spent time with a very wealthy woman who had a home in an exclusive part of town. That woman also booked a room for the two of them. She also happened to have a husband, and he'd had a wife and kids. Had last weekend's trials gotten Sam Alton killed? If so, by whom? How did the killer gain access to the room? If and if his death wasn't caused a second by a and if his death wasn't caused by a scorned spouse, what was the motive for the shooting? Conklin opened a file of photos. Dr. H had taken some the the scene, while Claire had taken the others. In Claire's photos of the victim, he was resting on a metal table in her lab. She'd also include close-ups of the labels. Seeing Claire's careful, meticulous work made Conklin smile. She was very good at her job. There was a second zip file containing photos of Sam Alton's clothing that had been stowed away at the hotel. The attached note from Dr. H. Reed: See Joanne Murphy's clothes as they were found in the room. No GSR on them. Same deal with John Doe's apparel. The clothing was neatly folded on a chair. Jacket hung in the closet. Also no GSR. The label has it all now and is processing for trace. We'll get who did this. Rich stared at the photos for a while. What what the neat what the neatly hung and folded clothing told him was that these two people knew each other well. He saw no violence, but he didn't see any uncontrollably passion either. It felt to him as though Joanne and Samuel had been a couple for a while. He thought about the way Joanne had stared at Alton's dead body. What had she said? "I've never seen this man before," and she had seen dig, 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 um, Her voice had been hard, cold, had it been full and guilty knowledge. Had she set Alton up to be killed, or had the suffered brain damage that had um, resulted in memory loss while she was in that collected state? Did she truly not remember her lover? Conkling, Conkling's cell phone vibrated. He looked at the caller ID and saw that it was Robert Murphy. Rich answered the phone by simply saying his name, and Joanne's husband replied, "This is Robert Murphy. Have you heard from Joanne?" "Not today. Why do you ask?" "She's missing, this inspector. She slept in her bed last night, but both she and her car are gone now. Can you give can you please give me the plate number?" Murphy resided the numbers. Conklin asked, "Is there a tracking device on her phone?" "You've got me there. I don't have the slightest idea, Inspector. I'm worried about her, especially in light of recent events," Rich said. Put out a lookout on her car and will let you know if I hear anything. If you hear from her in the meantime, please call me." "I will." Conklin hung up and then played the conversation back. Conklin played the conversation back in his head. Had Murphy been straight with him, or was he acting? It seemed strange that he would be worried that Joanne was missing for a few hours, even though he hadn't been ruffled when she'd been missing for almost 24 hours. See, some weird shit going on, y'all. The alarm bells were going off in Conklin's head. Something just didn't add up. What had happened to Joanne? Had she collapsed somewhere and gone into another collaptic state? Had her husband killed her? Or perhaps, or perhaps she just gone somewhere to grieve for her dead lover because the memories from the shooting came back. Whatever the reason, Rich wasn't going to chance it. He called Joanne's number and left a message. "Joanne, is Rich Conklin," he said. "Please call me. I'm concerned for your safety." Chapter 19. Rich was at his desk when John Sakowitz dropped by and sat down in Lindsay's chair. Sack was a bit Sack was a big man and was wearing a gray jacket, jeans, white shirt, and a weird pink tie. Sack moved the desk lamp out of his way so he could look Conklin directly in his eye. Then he said, "Sam Alton's betrayed widow, Rachel, or Rachel, I want to say Rachel, is in shock. It's it's a nightmare city over at her house. God, I hate notifications. Did you get a chance to speak to Joanne? She's gone missing. That's according to her husband anyway. I'm heading out to Seacliff to tour the house and grounds. I'll call you later." Sack stood up and said, "I've got some paperwork to do." He lumbered over to his desk across the room and began typing up his report. Conklin turned off his desktop and waved goodbye to Sack. A few minutes later, he was in his car and driving out to Seacliff when Brady called. Conklin, a dead body was found in an apartment building in West Portal. Wel- Wilkie was the first one on the scene, and an ADA just brought him a search warrant. Wilkie found two found two IDs in the room and a wallet that belongs to Samuel J. Walton. Seriously, there was no way Samuel J. Walton had died twice. So who was this dead man with his wallet? Conklin made the ex- Conklin made the excruciatingly slow drive to the class both to the middle class family oriented neighborhood. He took he got stuck at the lights at both the entrance and exit of a 3-block shopping district, and then once he gotten free of that, he hit another traffic snarl on a block with homie bars and filled with homie bars um and what is this, restaurants. 20 minutes after leaving the hall, he parked in front of an apartment building on West Portal Avenue between a cruiser and a coroner's van. He hopped out of his car and headed toward the scene of the crime scene. The building was a classic mid-century San Francisco style home with 5 stories of gray stucco arched, arched, arched windows and a few of West Portal Mooney. A half-dozen trees out front softened the lines of the building under a clear sky overhead. A light rail car rattled by as Conklin entered the building. If he hadn't been summoned there on police duty, he would have never guessed that there had been a murder inside. The old man behind the front desk pointed to the elevator behind him and raised 4 fingers. 4th floor, got it. Conklin was met upstairs by the 2 beat cops who'd arrived on the scene first. Their names were Officers Calvin Wilkie and Mike Brown. Conklin signed the log, put on booties and gloves, and then walked into a clean, bright 3-room apartment. Wilkie said the manager, Mr. Wayne Murdoch, said the apartment belongs to one Arthur O'Brien, an actor and probably a junkie. Murdoch got a call from O'Brien's mother. She hadn't heard from her son in a couple of days. She said she wasn't returning She said he wasn't returning her calls. Murdoch went to the young man's residence, found his body here, and called in. Conklin looked around the living room. It was dominated by a 52-inch TV. Across the room from it sat a nondescript brown couch. A set of weights took up one corner of the space. It looked to Cochran like this was a single man's apartment. There were no there there were no knickknacks or sentimental items breaking up the uniform brown color palette. palette. Um, but but the most telling detail of all was the drug Farah nearly for Farah Farnley, I don't know, that was scattered across the coffee table. Coughlin noticed a stubble candle, a a score a scorched spoon, a box of matches, and a flock of opi- uh, and a box of quick, quick, I don't know, glass and envelopes that were coated with white powder. Conklin walked to the bedroom, stood in the doorway, and nodded to the two CSIs who were photographing the dead man. His body was lying in the center of the unmade bed. Conklin said hello to Claire and Bonnie, and then he took in the whole of the he and, yeah, and then he took in the whole of the room. There were there were movie posters there were movie posters on the walls, a laundry bag by the window, a desk with an open laptop computer, a and a knap, knapsack up against the wall. His eyes went back to the dead man lying in a relaxed fetal position. Okay, relaxed fetal position. Okay, if you if you squinted, you could almost imagine that Arthur O'Brien was sleeping. Conklin wished that he could shake the man to ask him some questions. Who are you, bud? Why do you have Sam Alton wallet? Chapter Chapter 20. Claire Washburn um, photographed the deceased from every angle with her old Minolta camera while she and Bunny waited for Rich Conklin to arrive. The dead man's real name was Arthur O'Brien. He was white and in his 30s, since that but since that's where his similarities to Samuel J. Alton ended, it was a wonder that he was in possession of Alton's identification. Arthur O'Brien didn't have a double chin or love handles. He was he was as thin as a rail and had spiky blonde hair and a square diamond earring in one ear. He wore jeans and a long sleeve blue knit shirt. One of his one of his sleeves was rolled up almost to the shoulder. He revealed a length of rubber tugging knot knotted 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 around his left bicep. The track the track marks that ran down his arm showed that this had not been his first time at the rodeo. The the syringe was lying on the sheets about 3 inches from his right hand, and there was a pile of vomit on a pillow, probably cause of death, suicide, most likely unintended. Copeland came through the door. He pushed his hair out of his eyes, then checked out the room and the body. Then he said to her, "Don't commit yourself, what are but what are your thoughts?" She said, "I'll send out the blood sample in the morning and do the post, but he's cold on the face of it. He OD'd, and I'd say he's been dead at least 24 hours." Damn. Claire lifted up the dead man's shirt and pushed a thermometer into the skin above his liver. Then she walked a minute before reading it. Then she waited a minute before reading it. She said, "I'd estimate that this man's death this man's death occurred more than 30 hours ago. That means it happened early Monday morning. The wall is over there." Walkie told Conklin, pointing toward the dresser opposite the bed. Conklin walked over, picked it up, and took a look at its contents. Claire had already seen the wallet. It was good quality and was made from tan colored calf skin. The the initials SJA were embossed in one corner. Inside was Samuel Alton's driver's license. The photo on the identification card matched the face of the man who had been found dead in Joanne Murphy's embrace. 120 in cash in the billfold, said Wilkie, along with 40 credit cards and a dozen business cards. Everything seems to belong to Samuel Alton, Adventure Insurance, Sam Bernardino. I mean Bernard Bernardino Bernardino. Expector. There's also a backpack you will want to see here. Brown picked up the backpack that had been leaning against the wall and set it down on the desk. Claire left the deceased and went over to watch Coughlin go through the contents of the bag. He hefted, undid the zipper, and said, "Call me crazy, but I'm feeling lucky." Coughlin had his hand into the backpack and removed the first item, a snub-nosed Smith and Wesson small, what was known as a .38 special. It held 6 bullets. He showed Claire the chamber. There There was only 1 bullet left inside. She thought the first 3 went into Alton's back and arm, and the last 2 went into Joanne Murphy's shoulder and hip. That adds up. Coughlin handed the weapon off to CSI, saying, "That goes to ballistics right away. Boy, it looks like it could be evidence in an active homicide case." A few more items came out of the backpack, include a bag of chocolate chip cookies and an empty litter-sized Coke bottle with a hole in the bottle. Conklin held up the plastic bottle. He knew that on the street this sort of thing was used as a suppressor. If a killer screwed the gun into the mouth of the bottle he fired, and bottle would silence the gunshot. The next item in the bag was a gray t-shirt. Richie sniffed it and said, "Gunpowder." He handed the shirt and the bottle off to Boyd. Then he put both hands into the bag and took out a red patterned kerchief that was neatly folded into a bundle. He said, "This is so heavy, and it almost feels like it's alive." Claire saw that the object inside that kerchief was jointed and pointed. Maybe it wasn't one item, but a number of many small pieces rather wrapped up together. Conklin set the makeshift package down on the desk and turned to Wallace, the CSI who was holding the camera, saying, "Please shoot the hell out of this." Rich opened the kerchief one fold at a time, exposing a pair of very sparkling rings, two chunky rings, three diamond encrusted cuff style bracelets, and a 22-inch white metal chain necklace with a large diamond pendant. He stared at the glaring array for a long moment. Maybe he was dazed. Maybe he was dazzled, thought Claire was because it was dazzling. What do you think of this? He said to her. Is it $1 million worth of diamonds? Claire said if it all came from um, Cartier or Harry Winston, that batch could be worth multiples of that. But I know one thing for sure, those are Joanne's jewels. I recognize most of it from the second honeymoon photo that was in her wallet. I'll bet she never expected to see these pieces again. Conklin dug around in the main section of the backpack some more, but came out empty-handed. Then he opened a zippered pocket in the front and took out a wallet. This was, this one was Smith. This one was slim, holding only one credit card and a driver's license. He showed Claire the photo on the license. It belonged to the man on the bed, Arthur O'Brien. Claire said there's another pocket on the side there. Richmond. The pocket was tight and the fabric seemed to resist the insertion of his gloved fingers. Coughlin persisted. At last, he pulled out a green plastic hotel key card. He showed it to Claire and put it down on a corner of the desk. He asked Wallace to take a couple of shots of the card. On the center of the card were the words Warwick Hotel. Beautiful, he said to Claire, assuming the gun in the backpack killed Sam Alton. Assuming the gun in the backpack killed Sam Alton, Arthur O'Brien has tied up all the loose ends and wrapped up the last case against himself. Claire nodded curtly as she handed off the pillowcase with the vomit on it. That's when she found the cell phone in the bedding. She held it up to Rich and said he might have even tied up that package with a bow on top. She said, I wonder who Mr. O'Brien had been calling in the weeks before he died. Chapter 21. Coughlin made phone calls from his car as Claire supervised the transport of Arthur O'Brien's body and belongings into her van. First he called John Sakowitz, And then he patched Brady into the call and told both of them what he knew. He said, "It looks like O'Brien died from an accidental drug overdose. He deceased The deceased was in possession of a backpack that was a forensic lab's dream. There's a no, there's a recent fire .30 with one slug left in the six-chamber cylinder and a street suppressor. Also, get this, we found a key card from the Warwick. I'm going to take a wild guess and say it opens room 321. Sack and Brady were Sack and Brady were suitably impressed and excited. Coughlin kept going. He was on a roll. He get How'd he get the car? This I don't know, but we have his cell phone. Maybe his call history will give up the other players in this thing. Oh, and to really seal the deal here, Conklin said Joanne Murphy's diamonds were also in O'Brien's backpack, all of them, and they were nicely wrapped in a bandana. CSI found O'Brien's prints on all of it. Brady said, "Good work, Inspector Conklin. Take a bow and the night off." It was a it was 5:45 to Conklin called Cindy. So Conklin called Cindy and said, "I'll pick up pizza." Then he sent her a phone kiss. After that, he called Joanne Murphy's phone and left a voicemail. "Joanne, this is Rich Conklin. We've recovered your jewelry. There are about 3 pounds of diamonds here, including that pendant that I think belonged to your mother. Call me, please. We'll need you to identify it." He clicked off and then spoke to the disconnected phone. "And by the way, Joanne, I also need to talk to you about Sam Alton and Arthur O'Brien, both of whom are now deceased. You're starting to look like the center of a um Category 5 storm to me." His phone buzzed. It was Joanne. It was almost as if she'd heard him. She said, "Hi, Richard. I'm doing alright, keeping it together. I want to remind you that someone tried to murder me. I don't want to give this person another shot at it. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? Are you, where are you? Everyone's been worried about you. Robert called you in as a missing person." "Never mind that. Look, Richard, the, the important thing is that I think I know who was behind all of this." But then the phone went dead in his hand. Conklin hit the return call button. His he, he listened to the ringtone and got Joanne's outgoing voicemail message. "This is Joanne. You know what to do." Conklin said, "Call me back, Joanne. Call me." He got out of his car and walked over to Claire. She was shutting the back doors to the van. Joanne just called me. She won't tell me where she is, but she said that she's staying out of harm's way. Then she hung up on me. Curiouser and curiouser, said Claire. Do you get the feeling, Rich asked Claire, that she's making things harder for us on purpose? Why would she do that? This is crazy, y'all. Chapter 22. That night, Cindy and Rich got into bed before 10. It was an early night for them, and that was a kind of feeling. It was good to be home. Their apartment on Kirkham Street was small and cozy. Shit, they decor they decorated it together so that it fit like it fit them like a hug. Richie's arm was around Cindy, and she was wrapped around him with her cheek pressed to his chest. Street lights splashed through the blinds, stripping the walls and ceiling. Their alarm clocks were set. They each had glasses of water on their nightstands, and she had the extra blanket. Rich had, sorry, Rich had the king size pillow behind his head, but they had the luxury of these quiet hours to talk about their days. She loved listening to the sound of his voice. Rich was telling her about Arthur O'Brien, the shooter who'd killed Sam J. Upton and wounded Joanne Murphy. He explained how Arthur had been the one to steal her jewelry, expose her affair, and then step off stage into the shadow of death. And after all this craziness about who done him, who done it, and why, said Rich, he keeps all the evidence in his backpack and leaves it for us to find. Careless, said Cindy. It's basic Hitman 101. The first thing you do is get rid of the gun. That's the thing. Sin, he was not a pro, not even semi, not even semi. Still, he got a key card, got an unregistered gun, shot two people, and ditched the jewels. He got out of the hotel just like that. Shazam! It seems to me, said Cindy, how did a drug addict and occasional film extra get onto Joanne and her jewelry and her jewels? Someone had to. Someone had. Someone had to have put him up to it. If I had to guess, someone gave him a playbook. You're right. Who downloaded the call log on his phone? We found a lot of stuff there, but at first look, nothing was incriminating. He called his mother regularly. He had a few friends. None of them connected him to Alton or the Murphys. But then we found several calls to a burner phone in his call history, but he was given instructions. I put it through I put it went. I bet. Sorry. I bet it went through that phone. I'm thinking that if O'Brien was the shooter, he was supposed to cash in the jewels, but he flamed out before he could collect his check. Cindy asked, "What's your next move?" "Wait for the lab results. Sam Alton's widow wants justice. The Murphys are out of it. Joanne is alive. She has the jewelry plus a great story for all of her dinner parties and a couple of decorative scars. I don't understand her." Rich continued. "I'd expect her to want me to catch the person who did this and killed Sam." "That might be the snag," said Cindy. "Maybe she doesn't want to admit to having an affair with Sam." "Sure, maybe that would tor- torpedo her marriage. But do you think that Robert doesn't know? Is he really so clueless? Or is he grilling her when the cops aren't there? Is that what's making her stick to her story? I was drugged and kidnapped and shot, and I don't know who that hairy fat guy was who was found naked on top of me." Cindy laughed and Rich joined her. It was all so crazy, but it was just the kind of mystery Cindy loved to solve. Chapter 23. The next morning, Cindy and Rich said goodbye on the street and got into their cars. Rich headed to the hall, and Cindy set her course toward Seacliff. She didn't tell Rich where she was going. She knew what he would say. "You're poking into a police investigation is dangerous," or words that effect. Either way, it wouldn't be something she'd want to hear if she listened to Rich and some of her well-meaning friends. She'd be writing a fashion column or maybe pieces about local politics, but she was a crime writer. Crime was not just her her beat the at the Chronicle. It was what time is it, y'all? It's 12:36. And it was her passion. She written a best-selling true crime book, sold 250,000 copies in in paperback in paperback and had a standing offer from her her publisher that he entertained any book ideas she might have. So yeah, and then she laughed out loud at the realization that she was justifying her job to herself. She drove her from her apartment through Golden Gate Park on Crossover Drive, and and, and then continued into Richmond District towards Seacliff. She checked the house numbers on El Camino del Mar, a street populated with dimensions and set back from the road. She slowed the car and took in the gate posts, um, erecting a, a stuck a stucco wall. This was the house. The iron gates were closed. Cindy cruised past the house slowly as she saw another break in the wall. This gate was also made of war. I mean, also made of rough iron, but it wasn't as wide. Only one car could fit through it at a time. Cindy saw that there was a driveway behind the gate. It seemed to be a service entrance, and it looked to her as though the gate had been left open. Cindy drove further down the road, parked her Acura, and parked her Acura and on the verge and got out. Since it was 8:30 in the morning, she had the street to herself, though she could hear the distant sound of a power tool up the road. It was either a chainsaw or blower. When one car came toward her, a Lexus with tinted windows, she pushed herself on her phone until the car passed by. Then she crossed the road and walked directly to the service entrance gate. Cindy pulled on the handle and gate swung open. She slipped inside and carefully closed the gate behind her. She stepped in her tracks, looking around at the grassy lawn beyond the drive. There was a barn-like machine or tool shed to her left, and beyond that, somebody just called me. Some crazy number from Philadelphia. Talking about some lady talking about some. Can I speak to Isaiah? First of all, you got the wrong number, baby. He obviously changed his number on your ass. Black dudes. Sounded deaf. Hello, can I speak to Isaiah? I don't know no damn Isaiah. The fuck? Anyway, where was I? She fucking interrupted me. Okay. Okay. There was a barn-like machine or tool shed to her left, and beyond that, a pathway of 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 beacon stone steps. Stone steps cut into a steep upward slope in the lawn. Right now, she was snooping. The heck? Right now, she was snooping if she, as it was called in the trade. But once she climbed those steps, it would no longer be fun. Can you turn that off? It would be no longer. It would no longer be fun, and games she'd have no believable excuse. It would be trespassing, plain and simple. She stopped for a moment and put her game face on. I'm sorry for the noise, y'all. I don't know what the hell that alarm is, but they need to hurry up and turn it off. And I'm trying to hurry up this book because I'm getting hungry. Stupid ass numbers keep calling my phone. She stopped for a moment and put her game face on. Then she climbed up every one of those 30 steps. Typically, she wasn't breaking in. She was looking for someone to interview about a pretty interesting story that centered around a murder and the robbery of an impressive jewelry collection. If she got lucky, she'd run into Joanne while she was wandering around the premises, and if she got really lucky, Joanne would remember her from Claire's office. She set out toward the pool, toward the pool house. It was a darling, it was a darling cottage with French doors that faced the pool. Cindy reflected on what she knew about Joanne. Joanne had always been rich. She had owned this magnificent house before she met and married Robert Murphy, who, after all, might actually love her, and maybe she loves him too. But anyone could make a case that something had gone horribly wrong in their marriage, that something may have caused two people to die. Who'd who done what to whom and why? If the answer to those questions didn't make a good story, Cindy didn't know what would. She was about to check on the pool house when a door opened on the side of the house opened and a man came striding toward her. He was wearing his glasses on a cord around his neck, and he bounced against his bare chest. And I mean, and they bounced against his bare chest with every step he took. He wore cargo shorts and he wore cargo shorts, but he wasn't wearing any shoes, and he was carrying a rifle that was pointed directly at Cindy's chest. He barked, "What do you want?" She put up her hands with her palms facing out and said, "Hold on, okay? I'm with the Chronicle. Joanne knows me. I'm just gathering some background material on a story about the murder. Look, I have identification." The guy looked crazy. She had opened her bag and started searching for her press pass when she heard the crack of a gunshot. Pieces of marble flew from the last stone steps in the pathway, and then, with another crack, a sphere exploded out the top of a post. Fear spiked through Cindy. She knew that words weren't going to help with this guy. He wasn't hearing her. He didn't care that she was unarmed and no threat to him. Keeping an eye on the bare chest gunman, Cindy backed away, careful not to lose her footing on the steps below her. And then he raised his gun and fired twice more. Holy shit, this could not be happening. He was going to kill her, or at least give it his very best try. Cindy knew from her experience shooting a gun that it's a lot harder to hit a moving target than it seems on TV or in the movies. But that didn't mean that she wouldn't get shot. As she's ducked into a crouch and couldn't back and kept backing down the steps. Her ankle turned hard. She reached for anything, but she lost her balance. She had a last wild grab for another stone post, but it was too late. Gravity was winning. She fell backwards and wasn't able to break her fall with her hands. Her head smashed against a step, and her body kept rolling down, hitting stone thread after thread. And as she completely lost consciousness before she stopped rolling on the ground, the shadow of the crazy man loomed over her. Chapter 24. When Claire answered the phone early that morning at the morgue, she immediately recognized the voice on the other end of the line. She asked, "Where are you, Joanne?" After 3 minutes from the office, depending on the rush hour traffic, inter I stayed at the Intercontinental Continental for a night. I just needed to be alone with my thoughts. Claire, have an idea. Actually, can I can we talk about this in person? I'd like to invite you to breakfast at my house. Claire genuinely liked Joanne and loved to hear her laugh. She was curious about how her recovery was progressing. Not only that, but Joanne was offering Claire an oceanside meal prepared by a gourmet chef, plus a round trip ride in the Bentley. And well, who who could turn that down? A few minutes later, Joanne picked Claire up as she drove them along Fell Street. She told Claire that she loved Robert. Claire couldn't help thinking that there was going to be a but somewhere in Joanne's story. "I was smutting first sight," said Joanne. "He was bartending at the Redwood room on Geary when I came in with a girlfriend from the library board. We were organizing a literature. We was organizing a literature um, lecture series for kids. When Robert asked me to pick my poison, I told him to surprise me. He made me a drink clear and called it a Robert Robertini. Joanne laughed and took a turn onto Stanion Street. Still don't know what was it in. I still don't know what was in it. It was layered in many colors and smelled like a garden in the rain. That's what it tasted like too. But it had a secret punch at the end. Claire was enjoying the romantic, neat, cute story, but she was still waiting for the but. We started dancing. We started dating. He was very demonstrative and funny. He could do impressions. His George W. Bush was hilarious, his impression his impression of me. Oh my God, Joanne laughed. La- Joanne laughed long and hard. Baby, he do it for me, for you. You won't believe how spot on it is. But but most important, I could tell Robbie anything and everything. I felt completely comfortable around him. I told him about my first marriage to Jared and how the man I loved had turned out to be gay. That's when Robert said, I got news for you, Joanne. I played for that team too. Claire ex Claire exhaled so that was the but. She she said and the two of you decided to get married anyway. It worked for Judy Garland. Joanne laughed. Look, I love Robbie. He is handsome, don't you think? He's very talented too. He can sing and dance, and he can act like that guy on NCIS. Mark Harmon. Impressive, said Claire. Joanne nodded and pulled the large silver Bentley up to the gates to her home. She held the remote out the window with her good arm, pressed the button on it, and the gate swung in. She drove up to the beautiful house and parked next to a Mercedes sedan. I got that for Robbie for our anniversary. The two of us have a good marriage. Joanne turned off the car and faced Claire. That's why I know that Robbie didn't try to kill me. That's why I know that Robert didn't try to kill me, Claire. He doesn't want to be a weirder. He's pretty obsessed with his im, im, he's pretty obsessed with his image, and that title would make him seem old. Besides, he and I have nothing but good times. We don't fight. We have love and companionship. Honestly, that's why we need. That's why that's sorry. That's all we need. And Samuel Alton, who said who said is that coffee or something yummy I smell? Claire opened her Claire Claire opened her car door and Joanne reached over to the glove box with her bandaged arm. She took out a pistol. Claire said, "Whoa, what's that for?" Joanne shrugged and said, "Someone tried to murder me. Remember?" Then she joined and started. Then she grinned and started waving the gun like a rodeo clown as she took Claire around the side of the house and out to the patio. Once they sat down at the table, Marjorie came out and said, "Welcome, Dr. Ashburn. Would you like a mimosa to start?" Claire said, "I'll have orange juice without the champagne, please. I have to go back to work after breakfast." Joanne was standing at the edge of the patio, signing various objects on the property of over the top over the top of her gun from the stat what staggery I don't know to spectrum trees to the birds. Each time she aimed her gun at something, she said, "Pew, pew, pew." Said Claire said, "Joanne, is that thing loaded?" Joanne called back, "Of course it is. I've also got a license, if you're wondering, and I've gone out to the range to practice. You can never be too careful when you were almost murdered. Come come sit down and give me that thing. I'll give it back after I leave, okay? That's just for my own safety. Get me?" "You're silly," Joanne said, laughing, but she sat down and put the gun on the table. Pointed in the muzzle was pointing in Claire's direction. Claire gently spun the gun so it was pointing toward the horizon. She let out a small breath, but her heart kept She let out a small breath, but her heart kept beating wildly in her chest. Marjorie brought out the breakfast. It was a mushroom and fine herbs, fit, fita, fitata, uh, that smelled delicious and was paired with a side of oven fresh warm bread. Claire's stomach rumbled, so she unfurled her napkin and placed it in her lap. She was just lifting her fork when she heard what sounded like a gunshot. "What's that?" Claire asked. Two more shots were fired. "It's coming from the pool house. Damn, damn it to hell." Then Joanne grabbed the pistol and started to run. Chapter 25. Claire stood up fast. She knocked over a chair, hit the table with her hip, and scattered the contents of the dishes and the juice in the wine glasses. She started moving, doing her best to catch up to Joanne. The woman was her age, but slimmer, and even with her clipped wing, Joanne was faster and more athletic than Claire. She called out to her, "Joanne, wait up!" But Joanne was not listening. Claire huffed behind her, crossing the yard. She saw a cottage to her left, a swimming pool, and a set of meandering stone stairs. There was a man standing at the top of it with a rifle. He had the gun sight up to his eye as he pointed it down the steps. Joanne yelled, "Peter, Peter, stop what you're doing right now." The man whom Joanne called Peter was fit and bare-chested. A pair of glasses were hanging from the cord around his neck, and he was wearing a pair of khaki shorts. When he heard Joanne calling him, he turned toward her, but only slightly. He hardly lowered the gun at all, maybe just a few degrees, and he certainly didn't drop it. Joanne was still holding her pistol, and she raised it and pointed it at Peter. It was a standoff, but how long would it last? Claire pictured the horrible scene that was about to happen in front of her, but then she had an idea. I'll be oh no, untested. She called out using the most authoritative, I don't know, voice she had. Everyone freeze. She heard a groan noise coming from the edge of the steps where Peter had pointed his rifle, and likely fired the three shots. It sounded almost human. Had he shot someone? Was that person lying down there? Peter, Joanne called out from 40 feet away. "You'd better put that gun down. I figured out what you did. I know that it was you all along. And if you drop that gun, we can talk about it again." Peter lifted gun sight to his eye. This time he was aiming his rifle directly at Joanne, but before he could squeeze off a shot, Joanne fired not once but three times, and the sound of the gun was not pew pew pew. It was bam bam bam. Funny as hell. The sound, god damn, what the fuck? The sound was deafening, and the aftershocks echoed off the exterior walls of the tiny cottage. Peter yelped, grabbed his gun, and went down to the ground, his body curled into a ball. At that moment, a man came galloping across the lawn from the direction of the main house, and he was screaming, "Peter, Peter! Oh my God, Joanne, you shot Peter." 26. Claire had left her handbag at the breakfast table, which meant that she didn't have a phone on her. Holy shit, she didn't have a phone. She ran past Joanne over to the man called Peter, who was on his back on the grass. The other man, whom Claire took to be Robert Murphy, was cradling Peter's head and pleading with him, asking him not to die. A quick visual exam told Claire that Peter had taken a shot under his rib cage. The man was probably bleeding internally. He's taken another bullet to his left thigh, which was sprouting blood like a small fire hose. Peter was conscious and he seemed to be in excruciating pain. In between moans, he was gasping to Robert, "It had to be done. I had to do it." What was he talking about? Claire directed Robert to take off his belt so he could make a tourniquet, I don't know, around the bullet hole in Peter's thigh. Robert clenched it and hold it tight. "Good. I'm going to make sure an ambulance is on the way. Do not let him move. Do you hear me?" Robert nodded. Tears were running down his cheeks. He has PTSD from a sting he did. From a stint he did in Afghanistan. "I don't understand. He freaks out sometimes." "Jesus Christ, Peter." Claire told Robert to try to keep Peter calm. Then she stood up to look for Joanne, and saw her. Joanne was walking back toward the house at a leisurely, leisurely, luxury, leisurely pace. She was still holding the gun at her side. She'd simply turned her back on the bloody, awful scene that had blown up in her own backyard, all because of the gunshots she fired. But in Claire's opinion, Joanne had shot Peter in self-defense. Those shots had saved her life and probably Claire's too. She must be in shock. That was understandable, but now that a man's life was on the line, Joanne had to snap out of it. Claire yelled, "Joanne, call an ambulance." "Okay," she said. "Okay, Joanne," said Joanne, but she didn't quicken her pace. She just continued to stroll up the soft, grassy lawn toward the house. "Joanne, they don't call this a matter of life and death for no reason. If you don't hurry up, Peter could actually die." Joanne turned and seemed to give Claire's words some thought. Then she shrugged her shoulders and said, "There's a landline in the pool house." "Make the call," Claire said. "Damn it, Joanne, run." Claire's mind was reeling. She obviously couldn't count on Joanne to do what needed to be done, and she didn't know if she could count on Robert to help her either. Claire was surrounded by eccentrics when she needed an ambulance filled with professionals and a platoon and a platoon, sorry, of ambulance filled with professionals and a platoon of cops. She went back to Robert and Peter. Robert had completely lost his cool as far as Claire could tell. He wasn't acting clearly. He cared a lot about the man in his arms, and that man was currently pale, sweating, and losing consciousness. She told Robert Joanne was calling the ambulance. Honestly, she couldn't be confident that Joanne had listened to her, but she hoped the news would excuse me, but she hoped the news would calm Robert down. Claire walked toward the street and looked out over a grassy hillock and the stone staircase that led toward the drive, the gates, and the street. She was completely unprepared to see a woman's body sprawled out on the streets, her head facing toward the bottom of my oh my god, Peter had killed someone. Of course, she and Joanne had heard shots at breakfast had and they had been fatal. Claire ran toward the body, and once she got closer, her heart almost stopped. It couldn't be true, but it was. The woman on the steps had a blonde mop of curls, and her entire outfit was baby blue. It was Cindy, and she was lying motionless on the ground. Please don't let her be dead. We currently at 1:15 p.m. afternoon. And we got let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters left. Claire knelt down beside her friend. There was there was blood at Cindy's temple, her head wounded, but Claire could see the gentle rise and fall of Cindy's chest. Her friend was still breathing. Claire felt her pulse. It was wrong. I mean, I said it was wrong. It was strong. Thank you, Lord. Cindy, can you hear me? It's me, Claire. She gently turned Cindy's head and looked for the source of the blood. She was covered in it. It was running from her temple down her neck and into her sweater. Had Cindy been shot in the head? But then Claire found it 4 inches behind the temple at the back of her head was a bloody gash, not a hole. Claire parted Cindy's hair and saw that the lacerant looked like it had been caused by Cindy's fall. She she must have hit her head on the edge of a stone tread on a stone tread. Claire put her hands on Cindy's shoulder. Claire put her hands on Cindy's shoulder. Cindy, it's Claire. Can you hear me? Cindy groaned, and Claire said, "Thank God. Thank you, God." Claire, what happened? Put your hands around my neck. Cindy reached, Cindy reached up and Claire helped her friend into a more comfortable position. She sat her on a step and leaned her back against the edge of the wall. How do you feel? My head hurts and I think I twisted my ankle. Oh, Cindy, I'm here. Claire patted her friend's back. Claire saw Cindy's handbag his handbag below the steps, lying on the grass. She ran down to get it, opened the hobo, hobo hobo bag, and poured out the contents. She pawed through the litter of purse junk until she found it. Claire Cindy's cell phone. She chucked the battery. The phone was charged, yet she dialed the the radio room at the hall and let out a breath of relief when she got the voice of dispatcher May May Mayhes. Um, May knew every cop in the southern station, and she knew everyone in the ME's office as well. Claire was in good hands. May, this is Claire Washburn, and I'm reporting an emergency. I need an ambulance. Pronto. To 420 El Camino Del Mar. Del Mar. We've got a man bleeding out from multiple shots, and we have another victim here with a head injury. When I say pronto, I mean it. Get everyone moving at the speed of light. When she clicked off the dispatch, Claire called Richie, cussing silently when the call went to voicemail. Rich, I'm at Joanne Murphy's house. Cindy is here. She's taken a fall and is a little shaken up, but she's going to be okay. Also, Rich, the pool boy who goes by the name of Peter, was about to fire on Joanne, but she shot him first twice. An ambulance is on the way. Listen, Rich, I think Robert Murphy might be involved with Peter, and it seems that Peter may have knowledge of the Warwick Hotel shooting. He might tell you what he knows, but on the other hand, there's a good chance he might die, and soon. 28. Claire listened for the sound of silence. Only 4 minutes had passed since she'd called dispatch, but each minute was critical. And she needed to get Peter into emergency care alive. Robert was still cradling Peter's head in his lap. He was also holding his hand, stroking his hair, and telling him that he will be fine. But as soon as the shooting were, this, as soon, but as the soothing words left his mouth, Robert shot a question look at Claire, looking for verification that Peter would survive. She nodded but couldn't fully commit to her answer. The man's shorts were soaked with blood. Despite the tourniquet, tourniquet um, Peter was Peter was morphine. I don't know. He could very easily bleed out if help didn't arrive soon. The ambulance will be here in a minute. I'll be right over there with the other victim. She walked back to the staircase where Cindy was reclining against the stone wall, breathing normally. Her her bleeding had stopped. Thank goodness. Claire wrapped her in a big, comforting hug, saying Richie's on his way. Cindy smiled and said, "Oh God," but then her face crumpled, and she started to cry. Claire hugged her friend more tightly and then pulled back to look into her face. Cindy's sobs had turned into laughter that was now verging on high, hysteria, hysteria. I don't know, hysteria. I don't fucking know, y'all. What's going on, Cindy? I'm just overwhelmed, Cindy admitted. What if you didn't find me here? Who knows what would have happened to me? I know, Cindy, I know. Claire murmured, patting Cindy's back some more. But then Cindy shook her head and put on her tough face. She wiped her tears and said, "How is it that I missed all the action? Can you tell me that you're alive, dummy?" Claire said, "Could you just be happy that you're alive?" Their playful exchange was interrupted by a woman's voice that said, "Claire." It was Joanne. She was walking down the steps, looking cute and unconcerned. It was almost as if she had a new role in a movie and had just walked out onto the step, thinking she could wing her lines. "Wait, is that Cindy next to you?" she asked. Cindy said, "Claire, help me." Cindy said, "Claire, help me up. Stay where you are, sweetie. It's better if you sit still until the paramedics arrive. Unlike me, they have medical equipment and will be able to check you out properly." Joanne said, "Cindy, what happened to you?" "A man up there tried to shoot me. I ducked, but then I almost tripped and fell down these steps. It was it was silly, really." Claire says, "I'm going to live." Joanne grinned. Joanne groaned and said, "Oh, that freaking Peter. He's a maniac." She sat down next to Cindy and took her hand. She turned her head up to look at Claire and said, "I wanted to tell you that those gunshots jogged a memory. Sam Alton. I remember him now." With those words, she instantly had Claire and Cindy's avoid, avid attention. I guess you could say he was my boyfriend. We didn't use our real names with each other. I called him Butchie. He called me Princess. We kept each other company from
time to time, but it wasn't love between us. Our relationship came out of pure and simple need on both of our parts. She cleared her throat and signed, saying, "Still, he was very kind and he didn't deserve to die. I'm so very sorry that he's dead. I never saw who shot him, but I know that Peter has to have been involved. I wish I had been Butchie's killer. I wish I had seen. Sorry, I wish I had seen Butchie's killer. I wish I knew how it happened." Sirens walled and and stopped as an ambulance drove up to the service gate at the bottom of the steps. Joanne and Claire both stood up. There were the sounds of panel doors slamming and voices shouting. Claire ran down to the driveway and helped the team by opening the gate for for them so they could carry a stretcher through. "Harry," she yelled, "we need you up here." 29. Got a couple more, y'all. Inspector Richard Coughlin was conducting a bedside interview at St. Francis Memorial Hospital for the second time this week. By this time, it was more than that. This interview was an official interrogation. Peter Peter Carter had gone through surgery, had cleared the recovery room, and was now settled in his private room hours early. His surgeon had pronounced him in stable condition. Copeland had arrested Carter for his attempt on Joanne Murphy's life. Sorry, if if the force was with Copeland, the dangerous fool in the hospital bed was going to admit to being part of a conspiracy to murder Joanne Murphy twice, as well as the plan to Joanne Murphy's friend and proven lover, Sam Alton. Right now, Peter Carter was in a talkative mood. His hand was cuffed to his bed rail. His eyes were closed and the sheets were pulled up over his arms. His leg was in a cast and traction. Prior to this interview, Conklin learned that this man was a person who couldn't shoot straight without his glasses. To Conklin, Peter Carter looked like an ordinary and ple- even pleasant man. "Feeling okay to talk?" Conklin asked. "Only if you promise not to judge me," the man said. "I'm not like that," said Conklin. "I just want to clear up a few things before we start though. I want to make sure you understand your rights, okay? I told you already I understand them. Fine. And I'm going to keep recording our conversation on my phone." He showed the phone to Carter, then set it down on the tray table. Carter said he understood his rights and Conklin believed him. He also believed that Carter was desperate to be understood and forgiven so that he could return to something like life as he had known it. but that wasn't going to happen. Conklin said, I want to start in the middle, Peter. Look, you should know that Arthur O'Brien is dead. He overdosed in his apartment. No way. Are you shitting me? Sorry. I know he was a friend. We have his cell phone and have the phone records. He called you many times while you two planned the hit on Joanne at the Warwick. But what I don't know is how it all went wrong. Carter signed. Damn it! I told him to always call my prepaid phone. I guess I didn't realize that he'd called me on my cell. At Carter's words, Conklin silently congratulated himself. He hadn't been positively sure of the connection between these two men at this minute. Thanks for confirming the uh, conspiracy, bud. He said, "People, people can rattle sometimes. They make mistakes when they're doing something they're not used to doing, right?" Carter agreed. He said Artie was an old school friend. and I knew I could trust him. He needed the money. He isn't a professional. Sure, we get it. So he was supposed to kill Joanne and keep the jewel, right? But why kill her? Help me to understand. I didn't have a choice. Robert doesn't love Joanne. He's told me so many times that he loves me, but I know he'll never leave her. I thought if she just happened to die while she was on a date with someone else, he'd be a free man. He'd own the house, and we. Carter trailed off. Conklin didn't want him to fall asleep. Not now. Peter, I'm still here. 30. Conklin reached over and shook Peter Carter's arm, keeping him awake before he slipped into a op, op, um, post-operative slumber. His eyes opened. Oh, it's you. What was I saying? You were saying that you got Arthur to kill Joanne. Oh yeah, rather him than me. I wanted to have a clean conscience, a clean enough conscience anyway. I mean, if I didn't actually shoot her. He winced from pain, looked at the water glass on the tray table. Copeland handed it to Carter and watched while he drank, sputtered, then handed the glass back to Copeland. Copeland asked, and what about Samuel Alton was killing him in the original plan? Carter nodded. That's a yes. That's a yes. Yes, it wasn't anything personal. He was just collateral damage. It had to be done. I see. I understand all that. He had to kill the witness, right? I mean, you had to kill the witness, right? Cat Carter nodded, winced, and then closed his eyes. Copeland said, "Peter, is that a yes?" Yes, for God's sake, are you are you sick? I think it's time for me to take a nap. Where's Robert? Coughlin didn't want to answer that one because Robert Murphy was a material witness. Cochran's team had him in lockup. Sack and Linden were questioning him, but charges had not yet been brought to the table. Meanwhile, Conklin pressed on with his interrogation. Will Robert will be in to see you later. In short, before now, we have to finish here. Understand? Go ahead then. Get Carter's head. I'm in a lot of pain, man. Let's get this over with. God said good, said Conklin. Conklin. Um, two more minutes, that's all. Peter asked, what was the question? The key card, Conklin said. We have the key card to Joanne's hotel room. It was in Archie's possession. How on earth did Archie get that? Right, said Carter. That was easy. I went to the Warwick. I paid off the I paid off the guy at the front desk and told him I just wanted to take pictures. I showed him my camera and I said one picture is worth 1,000 buckaroos. I didn't have to ask twice. The guy made me a key and even put on his big show of welcoming me to the Warwick High. Then I handed the key card off to my buddy Archie, and how later and an hour later he calls and tells me that he done the job and that it may gone off perfectly. He was in and out in 3 minutes. It was such a relief. I figured that after that call it was all over except for the funeral, of course. But then Joanne comes home with gunshot wounds. She walks, talks. She seemed to be just about as good as new, huh? Said Rich. That must have been a shock for you. Carter went on. She completely wrecked it, man. Everything I'd worked so hard for to coordinate. Hey, what's your name again? Conklin, Inspector Richard Conklin. Um, Carter moved his hand as if Conklin's name was unimportant. After all, he was into his story, though. He wanted to complain. The whole situation between me and Robert worked for 2 years. But then all of a sudden Joanne wouldn't allow it anymore. Like we gave her the right to say whether the relationship between me and my boyfriend is okay or not. Look, if you really want to know who was behind all this, it was Joanne herself. She was the one who started it. She should have left us alone, okay? Are we done now? Conklin knew it was now and or maybe never again. The answer to this question was critical. So, Peter, you're saying that Robert had knowledge of this plan to kill Joanne? No, I didn't tell him about it. You gotta be kidding me. She caused it, but she was my plan all along. I figured with Joanne out of the way, Robert and I could be happy. I never wanted him to know what I'd done to Joanne. Correction, tried to do to her. Honest to God, that's the whole truth. Robert had absolutely no part in it. Okay, said Copeland. Copeland. It is currently 1:43 and my phone is 191. Okay, okay, he said Conklin, I believe you. What happens next? Peter asks. Get some sleep and then you'll want to get a good lawyer. Call Robert William. Sure. Peter Carter had relaxed back into a dopey, angelic post-operative dose when Conklin said, "Take care." Then he left the room with the tape confession in his pocket and said good night to the two officers on guard outside the door. 31. Cindy was in an excellent mood. Her editor, Henry Taylor, had been so happy with a life, miraculous life. It was her first person account of Joanna Murphy's ordeal. In fact, Henry had liked the article so much that he ceremoniously presented her with a little stat, stat, statue, from the 50s that he kept in his office called the Smith cord. The bone china figurine depicted a high-stepped young woman in a business suit who wore a typewriter as a hat. This Cindy, this is how I think of you. She laughed and threw her arms around Henry. She told him that getting the Smith corn was better than getting an Oscar, and it was. She surrounded the statue to, I don't know, with a forest of candlesticks on the sideboard. In a couple of hours, she and Richard were having a special dinner in their small ground floor apartment to welcome home Cindy sent to welcome home Lindsay and Joe, who had just returned from their vacation yesterday. They realized they decided to make the theme of the party Thanksgiving dinner. Before the meal was so good that they didn't want to wait until November to enjoy it. In preparation for their version of Turkey Day, Cindy had asked Claire to bring cranberry sauce, a vegetable side, and stuffing. Richard had stepped up to make his Thanksgiving specialty of the house since child a yam casserole with marshmallows on top. Brady had said Do not worry about wine. I will take care of the alcohol course. Trust me. And Yuki had added, I can bring garlands with popcorn and cranberries. Because believe it or not, I think I saw some of them out at the market this week. Even though it isn't November, we have to make it look festive. The meal was going to be excellent. Cindy had roasted the turkey, basted it properly, leaving enough time for the meat to cool before her guests arrived. Richie had his yams and set up the table in the dining room, adding in the extensions they never used before. They had finally gotten the table ready for everyone who the doorbell rang for everyone who when the doorbell rang. Claire and Edmund arrived first, carrying covered dishes. After Rich hung up their coats, they went into the kitchen to help Cindy warm up their hot side. Claire had an exquisite time with a curving knife, and as dissected dissected the turkey, she explained each and every one of her cuts. It sent Cindy into fits of laughter. Yuki and Brady showed up with wine and the promised garlands, and Brady host, hosted Yuki up so that she could tie the garlands to the ceiling and, and spring them across the tops of bookcases. He spun her around a couple of times, and she scissored her legs as if she were a ballerina. Everyone enjoyed the spectacle. When the doorbell rang again, Cindy opened the door. Lindsay, Joe, and Julie came through the doorway. Lindsay held up 3 boxes and said, "I hope your chocolate cake is okay. We have a couple of pies for everyone too. It's all store-bought though. I'm still in vacation mode." Cake and pie. Cindy gushed and took the treats from her friend. "That's fantastic." A shot went up. A shot went up with the Molinari family entered the living room. "Yay, the gang's all here." Everyone hugged Cindy, Joe, and Julie when, even though it had only been a week, it somehow felt like more time had passed. Brady opened wine bottles and poured glasses for the adults, while Cindy got a cup of milk for Julie. She she asked the toddler if she was glad to be home and smiled, but Julie nodded emphatically. Um, Richard assembled nine, eight. Richard assembled eight assorted chairs in the living room and passed around the nuts and a cheese platter. While everyone munched on their snacks, they caught up and told stories and jokes. Every After appetizers, everyone moved into the dining room. Once they were all settled around the table, with Julie sitting next to Joe on a kitchen stool. Ed, Edmund thanked God for their good health and wonderful friendships. After the amens, Brady suggested they all go around the table and say what they're thankful for as if they were actually Thanksgiving. As if it were actually Thanksgiving. Everyone thought it was a great idea. He went first and said, I'm thankful for to be married to Yuki and knowing all, for knowing all y'all. I swear to God. Joe popped into the kitchen and came back with the turkey, set and set it on the table. It's treaty and true. He said that I am glad for this big turkey. Edmund said, Cindy, I am thankful for Claire to make her chestnut, her chestnut stuffing, cause we haven't had it in about 5 years. Claire laughed and said, that's not true. Then she followed up with her protestation by saying, I'm thankful for you too, Edmund, and for all of y'all, which got a long round of laughter from the group. The laughter finally subsided. Claire added, I'm really happy for my folks sent me to medical school. Look where it got me. Bon appetit, everyone. It was a short reach across the table for the glasses, which they did. Lindsay said, I'm thankful to Cindy for taking care of me, Martha. Uh, I'm thankful for Cindy for taking care of Martha while I was away and for putting together this wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. It was such a good idea to celebrate with a turkey, but I'm also wondering what I've missed. Did anything happen at all? Coconut said, nah, nothing. Not much, said Cindy, but then she leaned in closer to Cindy and said, to Lindsay and added, we were just in the juice. We were just on the juiciest case ever. Are you kidding me? Said Lindsay. Well, said Cindy, it was in the top 10 anyway. And Claire said it was definitely a murder case for the ages. I don't feel like reading that full part, which is I don't know. I'm gonna tell y'all about the author. Okay, about the author. James Patterson has written more bestsellers and created more enduring, functional, functional characters than any other novelist writing today. He lives in Florida with his family. Is a Maxine Petro has collabed with James Patterson on the best-selling Woman's Murder Club and private series. She lives with her husband in New York City.
Alright, that is the end. We're all finished, y'all. We are finished. Yay. We all finished, y'all. And it's 1:58. Phone is on 92%. Y'all, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with me and everybody. Let them know. I'm sorry. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with any and everybody. Let them know what your girl is doing on this channel. I'll have another. I need to get my mind together because that was a lot. Plus, I'm hungry, y'all. But I'm probably about to go. Well, actually, I can sit here a little bit longer to clear my mind and color some papers for y'all. It's 2 different papers. I'm gonna make a video on that for y'all. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this reading. And bye, guys. Oh yeah, and go check out all my recent videos. Check out my whole page if you want. Send some motivational comments. Send some likes, hearts, whatever. And I'll see y'all.